Wow, happy 2022, everyone. This is not only is it the new year, but it's also our episode 10. We
Yes,
finally hit the double digits, and there's so many more things that we have in store for Dinero Twins, and I cannot wait for you guys to, share this journey with us.
absolutely. Double digits. That's a milestone.
It is. I can't wait for number 100, 1,000, right? There's so many
Absolutely.
more to come.
Absolutely. We will definitely get there. Yeah. So very exciting, guys. So thank you for joining us again this week. We are on episode 10. If you have not listened to episode 1 through 9, make sure you go back to our channel and support our podcast. We have amazing topics that we've covered so far. We are energized. We're excited. It's a new year, right? Fresh start.
Yes,
So
yes. Fresh
today,
start, new opportunities, right? So many great things to look forward to. And if you have not already done so, don't forget to subscribe,
yes,
okay?
like and subscribe.
Yes.
Both.
So why don't we go ahead and start off with today's topic, which is one that it's completely relevant to, the new year. For many of you that are, setting your new year goals or resolutions, whatever you call it, today's topic is going to be New Year's goal setting, right? So we're going to share some tips, some techniques that has helped us and that can definitely help you guys in setting your goals.
Yes, absolutely. So a little stat about that. So you know that 80% of people that set resolutions or New Year goals end up not attaining them. 80%. The
Wow.
huge number, right? So there's been studies every year. There's a study that comes out that talks about what the other 20% are doing. Like, what are those people doing that is helping them get to the goal that they want, that they set at the beginning of the year? So it's a very small number, but we understand that there's some strategies behind them getting to them, right?
Yes, and I feel like that's why we're having this conversation because we have an idea as to what those 20% are doing and what you can also do to get the same results, right? To be part of that 20%, because in order for you to be part of that 20%, you have to do what the 80% will not do, right, Twin?
Right. Exactly. You got to stay away from what the 80%, their mistakes, what they did or didn't do, for sure.
Exactly.
So
So why don't we go ahead and talk to him about those people that say new year, new me, right? I know we're gonna get a lot of those people at the beginning of the year. They start by changing their looks, or they start by, at the beginning of the year, they say, you know what, I'm gonna go to the gym. That's usually the most common one, right? Have you
absolutely.
experienced that, Twin?
Of course. Yeah. I go in January. I don't even want to go in January because I know January is packed. All the machines are full. The locker room is full. And then it's like, why are you guys here? Like half of you are going to drop off anyway. So just get off my machine.
Right? You start off strong in January. You probably hit the gym for like the first 1 or 2 weeks. You realize that, you know what, I'm not toned yet. I haven't lost the weight I wanted to yet in just like a week or two, which is an unrealistic time frame that most people give themselves. So because you don't see results, you give up, and that's why the gym is empty in February, right? So go to the gym in February.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, go back in February for those that go regularly. But the new year, new me thing, it's almost like people are tricking their minds to think that when December 31st rolls around, like when midnight hits, you're supposedly, a new person, and then your habits just disappear and you just become superwoman or superman and you can get anything done on January 1st. And that's not very realistic.
Mhm.
So whenever I see that quote or like someone say that, I just look at them sideways like, okay, it's
Yeah,
not an overnight thing. It's an everyday thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's such an overnight thing, and it's so temporary, and that's why when people say it, no one takes them serious because we've been there, done that. Like how many
Over and
times
over.
new year, new me, right? And it has to do, partially of that has to do with the reason why I don't believe in New Year's resolution, not because of my failed attempts to change myself, when the year comes, when realistically speaking, it's more than that, than just a saying, right? Like, oh, new year, new me. Like people think that you saying it, you just automatically transform into this different person, when in reality, there's so much psychology that goes into that, right? The mindset, the habits. So but I really would like to, what I like to do is break down the word resolution, right? So
Yes.
I'm very big on breaking down words and understanding what words mean, right? So when we break down the word resolution, we get re, Re is actually, it comes from a Latin origin, which means again and again. Okay. Now, when we break down the word solution, that means that you're solving a problem, right? You solved the problem that either you were dealing with a difficult situation, right? So when we put those two words together, in reality, it means solving a problem again and again. And why would I want to continue solving a problem that I already solved? So I don't want to go into the new year's thinking that I have to resolve problems that are already solved, right? So I hope that doesn't go over anyone's head, because I feel like the words that you say have a lot to do with the intensity or the meaning behind it, that many people don't understand why they do something.
Right. But it kind of also implies that you might solve the problem the one time. So you might get to your goal that one time, but then you're gonna fail again, and then you're gonna have to re-up, right? Redo it. So it's almost like it's not the problem, it's not the way you're gonna fix the problem permanently. It's like a very quick fix, and then you're gonna have to aim at it again and start over. And we don't know that during the year, other things pop up. So you're not always gonna stay focused on that one thing if it means that you have to re-up on it, refix it. So yeah.
And how many of us actually, realistically speaking, want to spend most of our time fixing problems that we already thought we found a solution to, right? So it's exhausting, and I feel like our energies can be geared to smart ways to set goals, right? Which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But I also feel like you have an interesting perspective on that, Twin, when you talked about the law of the 1%.
Yes. So for me, many years I've always set New Year's resolutions. I did the whole new year, new me haircut, change my style a little bit, change my makeup a little bit. One year I even dyed my hair blonde, which I look crazy. I will never do again. Yes, it happened. But then I quickly learned that, by February, latest early March, I'm already back to my old ways, back to my old habits, eating terribly, gaining the weight, all that stuff that we always say we're going to change when the year starts. So I had to really be honest with myself and be like, all right, this system is not working for me. I've been doing this for over 10 years and it's getting me nowhere. So as of last year, I started breaking down my goals into a daily situation. So I call it's the 1% rule, which is an actual strategy for setting up goals, which essentially it means that you do 1% of the big item on a daily basis. So of course, it's very hard to measure losing 20 pounds by 1%, right? It doesn't have to be to the T, but it's just a theory that you break your big goal into very, very minute, small little items that you're going to do every day consistently, that you're not going to forget about. Because as we know, when you do something regularly, consistently, it becomes habit. You form a new habit and now it becomes part of who you are. So that strategy works really well for me. It's something that I like to share with people. So one thing is, let's talk about weight loss, right? Because that's usually the number one goal for people. And it's very hard to do if you don't really have an attainable daily regimen that you're going to follow. So for the 1% rule, if your goal is to lose a couple of pounds, start with something as simple as reducing the sugar intake that you do on a daily basis, right? It sounds simple enough. So less sugar in your coffee, less frappes or less Starbucks with caramel syrup on it, pick one thing that is like high in sugar that you keep doing every other day that is not good for you, and try and reducing that with ultimately having a goal of eliminating that altogether. So it might not seem like a big deal, but the calorie intake is dropping. Also, calorie counting works really well. So, getting one of those apps that counts your calories every day, that you get to put in what you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So, little things, right? So any input on that? Anything that you can add to that?
I mean, I really agree with your perspective, because I mean, a lot of people may say, well, what does my calorie intake have to do with, my weight or not my weight, but like me working out or going to the gym, when in reality, majority of percent of your of weight loss is nutrition, right? It's what you eat, it's what you consume. You are what you eat, right? So if you start to slow down on your calorie intake, that you will start to see that your effort at the gym will go hand in hand, right? You can't just eat whatever you want. You can't just eat crap and then go to the gym and think that you're gonna, rebounds on that. No, and I think that's what a lot of people's frustration falls on, is that they don't know how to change the nutrition part, which is the most important part, really.
Right.
But even to add on to that, Twin, why don't we talk about finance as well? Because finance is also one of those things that you can apply this 1% rule to, meaning that let's say your goal is to save $10,000 in a year. $10,000, saving $10,000 a year is really you saving $27 a day, right? So if you save $27 a day, you already just saved $10,000 a year, right? So it goes back to breaking that bigger goal into a smaller goal that is more achievable for you to do. Because how many times do we spend easily? You go out, it's like you spend $100
easy
by just going out. That's why I don't go out.
By leaving your house.
You leave your house, $100 here.
That's right.
It's crazy plus inflation now, right? So we want to make into a habit that we need to be more conscious about our money. We need to be more conscious about where our money is going, because if we get carried away, you easily are going to climb up on that debt, which is going to get you further from paying it off. And who wants to be in debt, right? It's unnecessary stress. I don't wish that on my worst enemy. It's something that we need to shy away from, but we need to start with being conscious of where our money is going.
Yes, and bringing down debt is number 2 on the list of the top 5 things that people want to change or get better at for the new year. But getting out of debt is also a habit forming situation, right? It's something you have to form in your mind, in your actions, because listen, I did it myself. I will get into debt all year. I will use my credit cards, go travel, go shop, easy money, this and that. Then get my income tax check that second week, third week of February, and be like, oh, I'm going to pay my credit cards off. And I will pay my credit cards off. And then by May, I will be traveling again, spending it again, and again, I wasn't I did not have the habit of financial discipline. So for me, I tricked my own mind thinking that I was going to get out of debt and I'm going to stay out of debt. But then I went and did the same old thing year after year after year.
Cycle just continued every year.
Yes. But yeah.
Which is interesting, Twin, because it's like, I know there's something that you keep mentioning, which is habit, which is extremely important. I actually, I was reading this book called The 21-Day Miracle by Ed Rush. Really great book, really great book. It's actually a 5-time bestseller.
Okay.
Now, one of the things that I want to share about this book is that the 21-Day Miracle is really just the concept of how you can change anything in literally 3 weeks, right? So you can start a habit, you can break down bad habits in 3 weeks if you do it consistently, right? And I know that's something that you mentioned. So one of the things that stood out to me about this book is that they have this chapter called the Asian Secret to Changing Anything. And then they give you 3 ways that you can do that. So the number 1 is, when it comes to accomplishing your dream, you don't have to do it all at once. And I don't know if this happens to you, Twin, but I like to multitask, which I know I've proven myself consistently that I'm horrible at multitasking, but for some reason, I feel like I'm a superwoman and then I can do at once. Like if you see my tabs on my computer, I'm like ashamed of it because I have 20,000 tabs open at the same time.
And that's why we're twins, because I do the same exact thing. I mean, I have 101 icons on my computer right now that I need to get rid of because I save everything. I look at everything. I read everything. This year, for the first time, I think it was in October, I literally had a meltdown. Like I had almost like a panic attack. And it's my first time in ever that it's happened to me. And it was because of that, because I was piling on so much on my plate. And I was like, yes to this, yes to that. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do this. And it became so overwhelming that I lost it. So I had to literally wheel myself back and now be like, I'm only going to take on what I can handle. But that's part of that multitasking, superwoman trait that we have. And we have to scale it back a little bit.
feel like that's a characteristic that kind of like it goes into other areas in our life. So we try to do that with other things as well, specifically our goals, right? We try to do so many goals at once when in reality, you start off with one, prioritize it,
Yeah.
wait until you complete it, and then move on to the next. You don't have to work out. I guess what's something that people do, work out, start a
Workout.
business, or like, taking on more than you can chew at the same time, when in
Right.
reality you're going to overwhelm yourself and then you're going to quit in the process,
Right.
right?
Right. You're gonna get frustrated. You're gonna be like, oh, I didn't eat well today. I didn't update my website. I didn't reach out to the client. I didn't take my kids out to dinner. Like, and then it all piles up and then you just give up because you're like, you know what? Whatever. I'm giving up. I'm tired.
This. The second thing that I felt, that I read in this book is the thing you thought was hard eventually becomes easy on the other side of implementation, right? So I feel like we always think that something is hard until we actually do it, right? So in reality, once you implement something, the hardest part is getting to start it. Starting something is usually the hardest part. That's where a lot of people, suffer from procrastination, because procrastination is delaying something,
Mhm.
that you feel like might bring you stress. But in reality, when you do it, you're so gratified by you doing that. So
Right.
you need to understand that even though it looks challenging, it looks hard, once you do it, you're going to realize that it wasn't that hard and it wasn't that
Right.
difficult. And you're going to be upset that you didn't do it sooner.
Right. And procrastination is a real thing. And I suffer from that. And I have to literally force myself to like tackle the things I said I was going to do at the time I was going to do it. Cause I'll wait to the very last minute because I still think in my head that I can get it done. But then last minute I'm anxious and I'm stressed out about it. So, it's just it comes hand in hand. It's good to talk about it because the more you admit it and talk about it, the more effort you'll put into it. But I think it's a very common situation. It happens to a lot of people. It's just that, we don't really talk about that stuff, right? We don't want to say that we procrastinate.
Exactly. But I know we all, have it. It happens to the best of us. And then number three is, once you decide to stick with something, the results show up. You just need to hang around long enough to get them. A lot of people do not hang around long enough to actually get results because they think that results is going to be in 24 hours. You think you're going to get results in 1 week or in
Yeah.
2 weeks or even a month. Sometimes things take longer, right? Great things take a long time. Like, for example, working out, best example, people think I go to the gym for 1 week, I don't see results, it doesn't work.
Right.
Like,
Right.
no, right? There's so many factors that play into it. The same thing with finances. You start saving for 1 week, you then you get caught up in life, you start going out again, you start spending it, and there goes all the money that you save, right? So you have to be around long enough to see results, to actually implement that habit, and then you start to see that, you know what, this actually works. I need to do this more often.
Yeah. The results come when you show up every day. That's what I say. When you show up every day, when you're like, I've done it long enough that is now normal to me to do it that way. So for me, like I stopped spending money for a couple of years now, not spending money, but like spending on things that I didn't need. Like I had to make a conscious effort to be like, you know what? I'm not going to go to the mall when I'm bored. I don't go shopping when I'm bored. I just don't do it anymore. I'm bored. I'm going to find something else to do in the house. Right. Because I realized that every time I was bored, I would drive to the mall. I would spend money on things I didn't need to fulfill my boredom. And that was not helping me get to my goals, my financial goals. So I had to stop doing it. Of course, it hurt. The first year, I would be like, oh, I need this, but I can't get it. Ah. But then after a while, I'm like, you know what? I survived. It was fine. Nobody died. I made it. My money's still there, So you got to stick to that long. You got to stick to something long enough to see the results for sure.
And you have to also find certain gratifications in the process. Like, to me, yes, it's great to go out and because sometimes it just happens, like you go out to the mall and you're like, I'm not going to buy anything. You see a really nice shirt and you're like, oh my God, for some reason you feel like you need that shirt,
Right.
like your life won't be the same without it. Try to convince yourself, and then all of a sudden you walk out of the store with like $100 worth of clothes, right, that you wasn't thinking about doing. So what I mean by that is that you need to be more in love with seeing the money in your account, seeing your investment grows, right, investing that money into yourself or into other asset producing income producing assets, because that is what is going to allow you to make sure that you stop those unnecessary spendings, right? So you got
Yes.
to fall in love with the end goal, right? Seeing
Right.
yourself where you want to be financially because you made those temporary sacrifices.
Absolutely. Yes. Well said. For sure. Sacrifices too is it's the magic word, right? You have to sacrifice some things to get bigger things. It just goes hand in hand. So that one point that I hate seeing, or one thing I hate seeing is when people are like, oh, I did this for 14 days and now I'm this. And I'm like, yeah, right. Like 14 days, like that's you didn't sacrifice enough because 14 days goes quickly. And B, microwave results don't last long. So don't make it sound like I pressed the button, I microwaved it for 14 days and it worked. Now I'm a millionaire. It's like, no, don't do that.
Think about Twin. I don't know if you've seen the reel. I don't know if people have, but I'm pretty sure everyone has the reel that says, "Can we skip to the good part?"
Yeah.
Like, that's what a lot of people want to do. Like they think that they can just skip to the good part. Like, no, you actually have to do the work, right? It doesn't, you can't just skip there.
Exactly. That's absolutely true. Yes. So lastly, let's talk about SMART goals, because I know that's one that's very, very common, right? The strategy of implementing SMART goals, SMART. Each letter has a definition. So I'll let you take over that.
Yeah, so the acronym SMART goals is definitely something that, it goes hand in hand with the conversation, because it's just another technique for you to implement those goals of yours. So SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time. Okay, so if we start off with specific, setting a specific goal is important, because you can't just say, well, yeah, my goal is to lose weight in 2022. Well, what exactly does that even mean? How much weight do you want to lose? By when do you want to lose it? Right? How are you going to do it? So you want to be specific. So when you're answering, like, some of the questions that you should answer when you're setting up specific goals is what, who, and then how. Okay, so those three questions, ask yourself, what is it? What is the goal? Who's gonna do it? Who's gonna be part of that? And how you're gonna do it. Okay, so I hope that helps when it comes to the specific, specifically the specific part of the SMART goals.
Tongue tied. I know, right? Specific.
Right.
I mean, it's true though. You got to be specific. Like you can't just say, I want to be rich. Okay, well, rich is different for everybody. So what does rich mean to you, right? Do you want to make $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month? Oh, I want to be a millionaire. Okay, well, how are you going to get to 1 million? Can you get to 100,000 first? Like, how are you going to get to that? Right. So,
which leads to the next one too as well, Twin, because it's like the next one is measurable. Okay, measurable means that you're tracking your progress. What systems do you have in place to track your progress? See, a lot of people don't, like we mentioned, the 80% that don't achieve their New Year's resolutions or goals. It's because they're not specific with it, and they don't know how to measure their progress. They don't know if, okay, I went to the gym, let's say I go to the gym three times a week. If I have like a spreadsheet, or if I have an accountability partner that's telling me, or if I have a scale, like I'm measuring myself, you have to have some measures in place that would help you keep track and of that progress, because once you see improvement, it's a motivation to keep working towards those goals.
right. Yeah, because in your mind, you might not see the change. You might not see it just by looking at it. But if you track it by numbers, you'll be able to notice something, right? Whether it stayed the same or you did lose a couple of pounds. You might not see it, but on paper, it might be there. So it's definitely measuring has to happen. It has to be implemented.
For business as well. I know we keep referencing to weight because, again, it's the most common around this time, but your business is important, like measuring the volume, measuring your clientele, your retention rate, all of these things you want to also measure as well, to make sure that your business is improving, right? It's expanding, scaling.
Absolutely. Yeah. Everything from, social media numbers, what's your page growing? Is it growing? Emails, are you collecting enough emails for your business? What's your email count? What's your revenue, right? I mean, the most important one is how much money's coming in, how much money's going out. So yes, absolutely.
Now the next one is achievable. Okay, is this goal achievable? Am I dreaming too big? Really, I know we're the type of people that we say, yeah, dream big, right? Go hard or go home. But we don't want that to go over your head. We don't mean that dream big means that you create these unrealistic goal that you know that why you're creating these goals that is not achievable for you to do in a specific time frame. Okay, so you want to ask yourself, is this something I can reasonably accomplish? Okay, so for example, I want to scale my business, or let's just say saving money. If you have not gotten into the habit of save money and you just want to save $10,000 like that off the jump, it's going to be a little bit more challenging for you because you
Right.
never started somewhere. So start small, start with 1,000, then do 3,000, right? Until you get to
Yeah.
that goal, because you want it to be realistic. You don't want to kind of lose hope in the process because you gave yourself just a too big of a goal.
Right. And that has to do with patience too. Like a lot of us don't have the patience to wait around and like wait around to get to that big number. But it's not going to happen overnight. It's just not going to happen overnight. So you have to be patient with it for sure.
And discipline for
And
sure.
discipline. Yes, yes, yes.
And then the R for in the SMART acronym is relevant.
Mhm.
You definitely want to make sure that this is relevant to you, that you can have, excuse me, an emotional connection to it. Like, why are you really setting this goal? What does this goal mean to me? Where do I envision myself? And how do I connect to this goal? Because if you don't have an emotional connection to something, if you're not passionate to it, if you
Yeah.
haven't really understood where can this take me, how do I envision myself, it's going to be really hard for you to continue it. Like you're not going to
Mhm.
fall, it's going to fall through because you don't have that connection to that specific goal. I set a connection to every goal I have. I even, put it in my screensaver on my
Yeah.
phone, because inside in mine, I always have that constant reminder, which is another tip that I recommend, right? We talked about vision boards at one time, Twin. We can actually have an
Yes.
episode just on that. Okay, but you want to have a really strong and emotional connection to your goal.
Yes, visualizing is important. Visualizing, of course, staying realistic, but visualizing helps you see it, right? Like a lot of people say, oh, I'm not visual, I can't see it, I can't see where I'm going to be. But you have to put that into practice because, again, if you see yourself, if you see that $10,000 number in your head, in your account, then it makes you feel a certain way, right? So it's going to at least help you. It's going to help you push a little, right? Get to it.
Yeah, I agree. And I like that you mentioned that, because not everybody is a visual learner. We connect emotions to three different processes. We have the visual, the auditory, and then the kinesthetic, right? Now, when it comes to that, you visualizing, for me, I'm really good at visualizing. I have to see it, but I'm also part kinesthetic. Like I have to actually do it. I have to feel it. So for those people, it's like if you want your dream car, you may want to end up like in a Benz, Mercedes Benz car shop, and you actually want to test drive the car or something like that is going to actually give you that feeling of, wow, this feels good. I want to be here. So I got to make sure that I get my ass to work and
Right.
what it takes.
Yeah, you want to feel it, smell it, touch it, and then it makes it more
Yes,
realistic. It's not just looking at it on a screen. You're like, oh, I felt it. I need to get to it. It just puts
exactly.
that fire under your butt to get it done.
And then last but not least, time. Okay. You want to give yourself a deadline. A deadline is necessary for every single goal. If you don't give yourself a deadline, that's just wishful thinking. I hope that I accomplish this goal. I don't know when, but I hope I do. No, I want to save $10,000 by the ending of the year. I want to scale my business by extra 100,000 by the ending of 2022. And then you break that down into quarterly goals,
Right.
right? So you want to give yourself a deadline. A deadline is important, okay? And it also puts pressure on your butt, right? It puts
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
fire under your butt.
You're like, oh, it's coming up like the end of March. Oh, I'm in the middle of March. Oh, shoot, I got 2 more weeks left. Yes, for sure.
So there you have it. Okay. We actually given you guys so many tips. I enjoy
Yeah.
talking about this so much because these are tips that, as you can see, we apply that not only to personal or development, but also to our business, right?
Yes.
And which is important. And we're at the end of the day, we're here to talk about business and money, and we want to give you tips that would help you in those areas, along with other areas in your life, like health, which is so equally important. Health is
Right.
wealth.
Yes, health as well. It goes hand in hand, guys. So, we talk about money, business, but you can't run a business if you're not healthy, right? If you're constantly getting sick or if you have high medical bills, it's going to cut right into your business expenses. I mean, your business income. So you have to have that balance. So which is why we wanted to focus on that topic specifically. But I love this topic. I can do this for hours.
Right.
This was great, guys. So make sure you take some notes, go back and re-listen if you have to. We're going to make some notes on the description on the YouTube side to, give you guys the definitions of the acronym. Twin is going to note down that book so you guys can go out and also check it out because it looks amazing.
Yes.
So yeah, Happy New Year to you all.
Happy New Year's, guys. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. We definitely hope that you walked away with something of value here. Share it with someone that can also benefit from this. And don't forget to subscribe. Okay. We'll see you guys next Wednesday.
Don't forget to subscribe. Next Wednesday, we'll be back. Bye, Twin.
Bye, Twin.
Bye, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you found great value in the content shared. Make sure to tune in again every Wednesday and to also share our podcast link with anyone who can benefit from the information. Till next time, adios.